Alright, this is not a normal episode of Castelli Reviews. In fact, it's not an episode of Castelli Reviews at all. This is just an overview of the game Mob Ties, which is a board game that's going through Kickstarter.com. If you go to Kickstarter.com, you can find out how to get a hold of this game. There isn't long left though, there's only 9 days, and this is a preview copy from the publisher. It's not the finalised version, so I won't go into depth in the components quality or anything. All I will say though is I have a preview copy. I haven't actually had the chance to play it yet, as this is just going to be an overview. I have backed the project even though I have a preview copy of the game. It's my sort of game. Really good Mafia theme, really great artwork, very graphic artwork however. But it's a game of negotiation, intimidation, and revenge. It's going to drive heavily on your emotions in the game. It just looks fantastic. Alright, I'm going to give you a brief overview of gameplay. Well, first off, have a look at the components. As I said, they're not finalised though, but they're going to be a pretty good indication of what to expect. You've got these Fed minis, which are used to represent the Fed's presence on the board. And they've got some placed already. You've got these Fed cards, which are used to... Well, it's a blank one, don't worry about that. This one will tell you, for example, they tell you where the Feds come out. Apply 2 Feds to the Don's Mansion, which is up here, and apply 2... That's the same. Apply 2 Feds to Little Italy and Little Italy's up here. The next thing is the favour cards. These are the cards that players will have in their hands. They can be specialty cards, which are the green ones, which are rule-breaking cards, and they can be attack cards as well. They do a variety of things. They're really cool. You've got defense cards, which are used to defend against a player's attack, and you've got attack cards, which are used to attack other players, but they can be defended, obviously. And the yellow ones are weapons cards. They can be used to remove Feds in a location. This one will allow you to move 3 Feds. So each of the cards has a considerable benefit. You really want to get a good hand of cards. You've got the cash. Cash is king in Mob Ties. The player at the end of the game with the most amount of money will win. Each of your players' tokens is worth an amount of money if they're living at the end of the game. And you have 5 tokens, a capo worth a respect value of 3, a made man with a respect value of 2, a driver with a respect value of 1, a hitman with a respect value of 2, and an associate with a respect value of 1. I have a 3-player game set up here. Okay, we're going to move on to the first phase of the game, which is the business phase. This will see players get money. Now, the player with the most respect in a location will get money. Now, the locations that pay out are the docks, Kitties, Little Italy, the meat locker, and the diner. The diner offers you an option. I'll talk about that in a minute. How do you determine who gets the payout is via a negotiation. Sometimes there's going to be a clear winner though. So we'll have a look here. You've got the red player with a respect value of 3, yellow with a respect value of 2, and white with a respect value of 2. Now, the way this works is those points are used to vote. So even though red has 3, he uses that amount to vote because these two could side together to get 4 and outvote him. So this is where the negotiation will work because red would be trying to side with yellow maybe, but white might be trying to side with yellow. And there's also an intimidation aspect. The red player could quite simply say to yellow, I'm going to absolutely thrash you in the action phase if you don't side with me. But white might say, hey, we'll go halves in the racket value for the docks. So that's how that works. And after the negotiation phase, you'll get paid for that location. Sometimes, as I said, there's not going to be a negotiation like white has 3, red has 1. There's no competition there. White's 1. So that's basically how the business phase works. The next phase is the election phase, which will see the Don elected up at the Don's Mansion up here. You've got, again, through a negotiation if necessary, but there isn't a negotiation necessary at the moment. You've got red with a total value of 4 and white with a value of 1. So red becomes a Don and he takes this ring, which is really cool. And he gets to draw 2 favour cards from the top of the deck. And he chooses one to keep for himself, and he'll give another one away to one of the other players. These cards can also be bought and traded throughout the game They cost $25,000 each, so they're pretty expensive to buy, but you can trade them. There is also a way to discard cards in order to get them back. However, it's done at a discard ratio of 2-for-1, so pretty expensive again, but they're really good. So siding with the Don or being the Don has its considerable benefits. The next phase is the movement phase, which will see players move their pieces. You can move one of your pieces to another location. White might want to move out of this location because he doesn't have a lot of respect there, and he might go there, and red might move and yellow might move. You can also move to the streets in the centre of the board if you wish. And that's movement. But before you do movement, down here at the diner, I mentioned before that he had an option. He can either get the value, which in a 3-player game is $5,000, so it's not much, or he can choose to bribe the cop, which is sitting in the diner there. If he bribes the cop, he can have a look at the the Fed cards that are going to be drawn. So if he has a look here, he sees, okay, there's going to be 2 put in kitties up there, 2 Feds put in Little Italy, and 2 in the diner. So he's going to know where the Feds are coming out, and that happens prior to movement, so it might change where he's going to move because he'll know where the Feds are coming out, because being in a location with the Feds can be a bit risky. Alright, after the movement phase is the Feds phase, so you draw however many cards you need to draw from here. It's dictated by this up here, the heat meter. You might be drawing 1 card, you might be drawing 2, you might be drawing 3, depending on where that's at. Okay, so we apply 2 to kitties, 2 to Little Italy, and 2 to the diner. Now, if there is ever 4 or more Feds in a location, there's 2 options. Basically here, you go through you might have to go through the negotiation process. Here you don't have to. White has a clear majority. He has a value of 3. Red has a value of 1. So white is going to choose that red is going to get thrown out to the cops, and they've got the place surrounded. They're going to arrest him, and he would be placed in the prison. However, if he has a yellow card, which I didn't draw one. If he has a yellow card, like this AK-47, he can play it to remove 3 Feds from that location. If you remove 3 Feds, that location is no longer a threat, but only if he has these weapon cards. And this is what I like about this game, and is the fact that you're screwing someone over, but they have a chance to defend themselves, and if they defend themselves, you're going to be left feeling vulnerable, because you know that they're going to be holding like a vendetta against you. So I'm really looking forward to that. Okay, so over here, yellow's the only one there, so he's going to have to send someone to the prison, and the Feds stay there, and that's how that phase works. The next phase is the action phase. This is basically going around the table, starting with the Don. Players will be attacking each other, and again, this is what I was talking about. They've got a chance to defend themselves. If they have a defense card, they can defend themselves, which will obviously play into it again. If someone attacks you and you defend it, they're going to be left feeling vulnerable. So yeah, that's basically how the action phase works. But there's other things too, like you might have a card that allows you to look at another player's hand of cards before you choose to attack them, and that sort of thing. So you can look to see if they've got defense cards before attacking them. Alright, the next phase is the bail phase. You can choose to bail any player's pieces out of the prison, but it's pretty pricey. You're looking at between $75,000 and $25,000 to do that. The final phase is the heat phase, and this is about the heat meter. It might rise depending on the number of players in the morgue and the number of players in the prison. So the game actually progresses like turn-wise, because it's not dictated by a set number of turns. It's dictated by how many players are killed and in the prison, which is another factor that I really like about the game. As I said, I backed the project. If you want to have a look at it, have a look at it. I am really, really itching to get this one to the table. It looks great.